Hello and welcome back to this other episode on Inside the Mind of a Hacker with myself, Andrew Constantine. Guys, I'm super excited on this episode. We're going to talk about how to study. Now, for those of you that don't know me, I don't have any certificates. I don't think that certificates are the greatest thing in the world. I do, however, think real world trumps certificates. So for those of you that are, in your high school years, or, they're doing the HSC, or, if you're at university or any other sort of qualifications such as TAFE, or maybe you're doing some other industry certificates such as Cisco or whatever, I want to talk to everyone today around what I think are the most important aspects of how to study and how to get the most out of your study time and how to implement a great study schedule and that sort of stuff around cybersecurity, information security, and the world of out there. So how to study is basically simple, right? Here are some strategies that I think are super, super important in terms of studying. So first and foremost, understand the objectives. If you are studying a Cisco exam, go on the Cisco website and actually look at the syllabus. What does the CCNA exam want you to do? What does the CCNP exam want you to do? What does the CCIE exam want you to do? And are you following those Are you following those guides? If they're asking you how to configure OSPF, do you know how to describe it? Can you tell me what it actually is and how it works? Can you physically do it? Do you know how it works? Can you walk me through the actual process? If I have two routers and I want you to configure OSPF process ID, 25, and this is a 10.10.10.024 network, can you configure OSPF between these two routers and tell me the 8 steps OSPF goes through in order to find an adjacency, right? It's those kind of things. So you need to obviously describe how it works, do it, break it, understand how it fails. Do you know why an adjacency would fail and why it doesn't, and that sort of thing? And then obviously fix it, right? It goes down, it goes belly up. Let's bring it back up. Do you know how that works? Do you know how to fix it up? Do you know how to identify? Do you know how to debug a system? Do you know how to find, why the authentication mismatch failed, whatever, right? So identify the objectives, guys. Find out what the syllabus requires and just make sure that you're actually going through, these core components is describe it, do it, break it, and fix it, right? Which next point comes on to is this, focus on teaching. If you're at university or you're at TAFE or whatever you're doing, whatever you're studying, even if you're at a job, get everyone into a room, get 10 people into a boardroom and just talk about OSPF, talk about EIGRP, talk about BGP, talk about, your subnetting, talk about things and explain things. I think that's the most fundamental component, is explaining something and actually understanding how it works, okay? If you can't understand it and you can't explain it, then you don't know it well enough, which then means you haven't done enough research and you haven't done enough knowledge, you haven't built enough knowledge to understand how it actually works. So focus on teaching, teach it to someone, teach it to your mum, teach it to your dad, teach it to, the professor, teach it to someone and make sure they actually understand it is the kicker. So if you're explaining something, just try and explain it to them that this is how it works, this is what it does, and this is why it's here, and this is it, and this is how you do it, and you do it like this because X, Y, Z, and if I don't do it like X, Y, Z, this happens, and if this doesn't happen, then Y happens, and if Y doesn't happen, I don't know what happens, so you have to reboot. But in Cisco, you can't reboot, which is what I love, and we'll talk about that later on as well. So focus on teaching, teach it, lab, guys, build a hands-on environment. There are awesome tools like, GNS3, which I highly, highly recommend. I do it in a lot of lab environments in GNS3. It's just an emulator. You just download the files, you just build networks and build systems on your laptop, hands-on, and you can configure, your routing and your switching stuff. But I do condone that you do buy physical resources, right? Buy 5 switches, buy 5 routers, and configure them. Plug them in, plug the console connection into your laptop, configure your party, configure your secure CRT, configure your stuff on your laptop, make it work, and then configure it. Configure your VLANs. If I have a building, if I have 3 buildings or 2 buildings, and each level has 10 levels, you want to configure VLANs on those levels, so each traffic is different from one another. You don't want to have IT guys reading the finance guys, and you don't want finance reading the IT guys. And each division in those companies is going to have different VLANs, and you know, it's even better to have a private VLAN. We'll talk about that later on, but just VLANs, just segment, you know, isolate the traffic, segment the traffic, and how does that actually work? So, you know, and then on an attacker's point of view, how do we compromise a VLAN? Or is there any other ways that we can do VLAN hopping, for example? You know, compromise a particular VLAN and then reroute that information to another VLAN or whatever. So, hands-on experience, build the lab, create it, do it, physically do it, plug in the switches, plug in the routers, get your cables, plug them in, and just do it, right? Next, schedule time and throw it into the calendar. I cannot stress this enough, guys. If you're going to schedule an exam for 6 months out, you know, whatever the month is now, today we're in February, it's February 10th here, you know, and if you're going to schedule an exam 6 months from now, you know that that's a deadline. So you have 6 months to train and, you know, to run that marathon or whatever. So you're going to have to schedule time. Put it into your calendar. You know, for me, I highly recommend up to 3 hours a day in study. You know, just go home. If you work a 9 to 5 job, go home 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock and just study, right? You know, this is a commitment, and you know, you have to be passionate behind this. And things just don't happen. You know, there's a lot of downtime, there's a lot of failure, there's a lot of commitment. So, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day, and you have to be passionate, you have to be dedicated, and 100% committed to it. So, you know, schedule it, do your study, be ready, schedule the time, and just freaking do it. Go to Pearson VUE, sign up for the exam, and just get it ready, right? Practice. If you can get access to practice labs or practice environments or practice exams, do them. And just practice stuff. Like, just do it, man. Like, configure your OSPF, tear it down, build a new thing, build it up again, break it, cause a mismatch, know how to debug. And I stress this enough, guys, debugging in a network environment is critical, but you can't debug in a production system because it's just so resource heavy. If you start debugging a lot of stuff like the CPU stuff and all that sort of stuff, then, you know, the resources really get hang, and then that can cause a really big sort of denial of service attack on the business production environment as well. So you don't want that to happen, but you need to know on a testing environment how to debug and how to successfully debug, which you will have to do in your CCIE and CMP exams as well for Cisco. Be passionate, guys. You know, you can't teach this stuff if you don't love it. You know, for a lot of people that come to me and say, Andrew, we're so passionate about security, we love it, we want to get into it, we just hear about all these things that are out there, and they get so disappointed when I ask them, what have you done? And I get this look of, well, what did you expect me to do? And then I have the people that come to me and they say to me, Andrew, we've created this, we love security, look what this can do. You know, it's a robot, it can do whatever. Then those are the right people to be in the industry. Don't follow the trends, don't follow the hot areas, because if you're not passionate, if you don't love what you do, it's going to be a burden on you, and it's going to be a burden on everyone else around you, because people are going to rely on you to do things, and you're not going to do them because you don't like it enough to do it. You know, we send emails 3, 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and that's the world right now. It's a 24/7 around the world clock, right? Things are always working, things are always in production environment, and sometimes you have tens of millions of dollars going through systems at any given point, and you need to be up there with the real time monitoring and managing things. So if you're not cut out for that, stick to your 9 to 5. You know, go home and just do what you need to do, and then deal with failure, guys. You know, it's inevitable. You will fail. The good thing is, I think, in my honest opinion, where I see it a lot in business and in, obviously, you know, the security side of things, you can't fail. You know, you can't lose, and you have to get that out of your mindset, where it's just, you know, if you're in something, then you're in it, and you're committed to it, and you're passionate about something, you're obsessed about it, then you're just learning, right? You have to research, you have to fail, and you have to know why you failed. You can't just get into something and then go, shit, I just failed, and I don't know why, but know why you failed, know what went wrong, and how you can actually fix it up next time, because then you would know exactly why you failed and what not to do next time. So deal with failure, guys. Get up, do it again, and just keep going and get your certificates. I think certificates are great. As I said, I do think they are a HR filter. We've seen a lot in the industry where with the recent sort of go get hack, where GoGo got hacked, and Uber got hacked as well. And these guys, they have a lot of resources on hand. They have a lot of capabilities as well as budget. So you can imagine the sort of appliances that they would have. It's not easy to penetrate their networks. However, things do get exposed. So I don't think certificates are the answer. Obviously some people might seek out assistance from people that don't have certificates, purely because it is the outside world, and the outside world consists of no rules. So why do we follow rules, right? So they're my sort of tips around strategies for your exam. If you are studying for exams, I'd love to even hear your tips. Do you have a particular scenario or particular regime that you follow for your exams, or particular do you follow a traditional approach to your exams? I'd love to hear it. What sort of exams have you done? What are your upcoming exams? For myself, I'm doing my OSCP exam. A couple of our guys are still doing the CCNA, CCNP, CCIE. I've recently done my CEH, and one of our buddies here as well has done our CFH exam around sort of forensics. And I'd love to hear more about your exams. What are your strategies? Do you have any strategies? Do you have any sort of mentors? Who do you look up to? And I'd love to hear more about these guys. I hope you've enjoyed this little strategy. Until next time, we'll catch you guys very, very soon.